Questions for reflection. Ahab was an evil king. His wife Jezebel was worse. She turned Ahab toward idolatry, leading him to worship Baal. She later became the great nemesis of the prophet Elijah. In this reading, we see how evil corrupts and continues to corrupt. The moment it is allowed to enter into a person, a marriage, a government, or any situation. In this story, Naboth refused to give his ancestral heritage to a wicked king. As a result of his standing strong for righteousness, he was killed. The story shows the wickedness of Jezebel, who orchestrated the entire horrible affair. Evil is real. It is the enemy of the Lord and our enemy. In our own lives, we need to be ever spiritually vigilant, not allowing it to have any foothold. And that's assisted by staying faithful to our baptismal vocation, by praying, reading the scriptures, reading the catechism, regularly going to the sacrament of reconciliation or penance, regularly receiving the most holy Eucharist, and staying in what is called a state of grace. How are we doing? The words of the psalmist are strong. He's speaking to the Lord when he says, "Boasters cannot stand their ground under your gaze. You hate evildoers, liars you destroy. The violent and deceitful Yahweh detest." What is he saying? It is the sin, the evil which God hates. David had sinned greatly in his life, but he repented and turned back to God. He continues, and I quote, "But so great is your faithful love, I may come into your house and before your holy temple bow down in reverence of you." This is the disposition we should imitate and emulate. We are all fallen, but God is rich in mercy. In the Gospel, we continue with the teaching of Jesus in the 5th chapter of the Gospel of St. Matthew, which begins with the Beatitudes. As I've mentioned before, the word beatitude means happiness. In fact, the word translated blessed in the beginning of each of those whom Jesus calls blessed could be translated as happy. The Beatitudes reveal the countenance and the character of Jesus Christ. And by grace, we are called to become more and more like Him. In the verses we heard today, Jesus is warning His followers not to retaliate, rather to live redemptively as He did. And in Him, we can do the same. You see, Jesus is alive. He lives His life through His mystical body, the church, of which we are members. And as we grow closer and closer to Him, we can become more and more like Him. Every one of us is called to become a saint. There is a universal call to holiness. How are we doing?